Hi everyone! Today we're going to be doing another 10 looks 1 palette video. Now I understand the look that I have on is kind of crazy. Don't worry, all of the looks are not as crazy as this, but I wanted to have some fun with this one. This one is actually inspired by the photo shoot that Jeffree himself did when he did like the two-tone eye. I don't know if he did his own makeup for that shoot, but that was absolutely beautiful. And that's kind of what I wanted to, you know, to be inspired by, and I really like this look. So this is going to be the last look out of the tutorials. If you want to see the other 10, just stay tuned. We're going to get straight into it. I'm not going to keep you here for any longer, so let's just go ahead and get into look number 1. Hope you guys are ready for a lot of tutorials. So we are starting off look number 1 by priming with the Smashbox Lid Primer in Light. This is what I'll be using for all of my looks, and I'm also not setting my primer because I just don't like to do that. So first off, I'm starting by taking What's the Tea, and I'm putting that into my crease. I'm also going to put that down to my lower lash line eventually. I wanted to use one of these shades first because this is the shade that kind of drew me to this palette, this and like the grungy green shades. I just think that those colors are so cool. I also wanted this to be like a fairly simple look, so this is not going to be very complicated at all. So to deepen this up a little bit, I'm going to go into Hi Dude, which is the dark brown on this palette. I just find these names to be really funny. So I'm basically first starting by placing this in the outer corner of my eye, and then I'm gently going to pull it through my crease a little bit as well, and also down to my lower lash line just to make sure that there is some depth like all the way around the outer corner of my eye. I'm then going to take my P. Louise base, and I'm not going to do a cut crease with this, but I do want to put down something a little bit tacky on my lid because I plan on having a matte shade on my lid, so I want that shadow to have something to really grip onto so that it doesn't end up being patchy. So as you can see, I'm just patting this over my lid, and I'm not doing any sharp lines or anything. I'm just putting it exactly where it is that I want that green shade to go. You of course could go ahead and do a sharp line if you wanted it to look like a cut crease, but I really wanted everything to just kind of blend seamlessly in together, so I'm making sure that all of the edges are nice and soft. I'm then going to take Wake and Bake, which is probably my favorite shade in this palette. I just think that this is such a unique color, and I'm basically just packing it all over my lid where I put down that concealer or primer or whatever you want to call the P. Louise base. And as you can see, this color is showing up really nicely and is looking nice and opaque, and I really like how these colors are kind of meshing together. I'm also just wrapping this down around to my lower lash line and in my inner corner since I wanted this to be an all matte look. I'm also going back in with the brown just to make sure that everything is looking nice and blended. I'm tapping off my brush just to make sure that I don't have too much product on it. And I'm just feathering this brown over the green just to make sure that the blend is looking the way that I want it and that the angle of the blend is also looking the way that I like it to be. This could be different depending on your eye shape and how you like your eyeshadows to be, obviously. And then for my waterline, I'm thinking I want to go with yellow, and that's what I decided on. So this is Punch by Colourpop. I love Colourpop's liners. I also really like Coke Zero. You probably know that if you've been on my channel for a while. So I'm next going to go into my DHC Cosmetics liquid liner, and I'm just going to trace my upper lash line. I'm not going to show you all of these steps in all of the looks, but I figured I would just kind of show you what I'm going to be using in the looks going forward and kind of how I do it without it really being a tutorial. So I'm also going to curl my lashes because I always do that. I just find it makes such a difference since I don't wear falsies. And then I need to use my Badgalbang mascara because it's just my favorite. It's my holy grail. I can't get enough of this. I know I keep talking about this in every single video that I've ever made on my channel. I'm so sorry, but I just love this, okay? Leave me alone. And after I've put on about 200 coats of mascara, it's the question of which lipstick do I wear? I didn't even know I was doing this until I started editing it, and I just found it so funny that I was basically comparing like 5 different nude brown lipsticks, and I ended up deciding to go with a Lethal Cosmetics lipstick, and this is in the shade Anemia, and I really like how this turned out with the eye look. I think I like the contrast between the kind of grungy and the more warm tone lipstick. I don't know, let me know what you think. So here are the close-ups for look number 1. I really like how this turned out, and this was actually the first look that I filmed, so I think we are off to a good start. So let's just get into look number 2. And this is going to be my kind of like neutral everyday kind of look. So I'm first starting off by taking Lin, and I'm just setting my base with this because I want this to be more of a soft look. I actually had a doctor's appointment this day, so I wanted, you know, to be taken seriously and not have people stare at my eyes all day. So that's why I wanted to do a bit of a softer look. So I'm first just taking the shade Back, and I'm putting that into my crease as my transition shade. And lately what I've been doing with my eyeshadow is I've been going from darkest to lightest because I find that that really pulls out the pigmentation of the shades the most. But since I wanted this to be a softer look, I decided to go from light to dark instead. And I know that that is how most people do their eyeshadows anyway, especially for like softer looks like this. And it would also give me a better idea of how these colors are going to layer and build on top of each other. And I'm also just going to take a little bit of this down to my lower lash line underneath my eye. I don't really think it made a huge difference though. And to deepen this up, I'm going to go into Self-Made, which is this beautiful bright pink shade, and I'm using that to deepen up my crease. But as you can see, I did tap off my brush because I wanted this to be more of a softer gradient here. And I'm also going to take this down to my lower lash line on a bit of a smaller brush here. I am going to go ahead and take Mogul as well, and I'm going to use that to try to deepen up the crease even more, but this shade didn't really want to layer it too well. But I honestly find that to be the case with most purples, especially trying to layer it as like your third shade. It's just not going to show up as well as it would if you put it down as your first shade, but that's fine. I did want this to be more of a soft look. For my lid shade, I'm going to use the shade 2, and I'm also going to spray that with some Fix Plus to make sure that this is nice and intense. And I'm basically just putting this on the rest of my lid. I'm not being like super precise to make it look like a cut crease, but I'm also not being like sloppy with it, if that makes sense. And when I get about 2/3 of the way out on my lid, I just gently feather it into the kind of darker shades that I have in my outer corner. I'm then just taking one of the same brushes that I had some pink on, and I'm just running that through my crease again to make sure that the blends are looking nice and smooth. And for the last eyeshadow for this look, I'm going to take Welcome, which is just a very bright kind of white shimmer, and I'm popping a little bit of that in my inner corner. I also want to open up my eyes a little bit extra, so I'm taking my white retractable eyeliner from NYX and I'm putting that into my waterline. I love using white in my waterline. And then I'm going to be a little bit extra, and I'm going to use one of Jeffree Star's liquid lipsticks as an eyeliner, and this is in the shade You Better Work. And just make sure that if you do use a liquid lipstick on your eyes, that it is eye safe. Jeffree Star's liquid lipsticks are the only ones that I know that are actually said to be eye safe, so just be a little bit careful with that. And I didn't want to do a wing or anything like this, so I basically just did a line. I'm also putting on a bunch of mascara, of course, as always. And then for lips, I'm going to use one of the Wet n Wild High Shine liquid lipsticks. I mean, this is basically a gloss. I don't know why they call it a lipstick, but this is in the shade Taffy Tantrum. I love these. I think they are beautiful. And here are the close-ups for this look. I think this turned out really nice and soft and pretty, and I like wearing pinks on myself. I think they are quite flattering. So if you're liking this video, don't forget to give this video a like. It would really mean a lot to me. Let's get into look number 3 now, and for this look, I'm going to start off by taking the shade Nate, and I'm taking that on a very flat brush, and this is going to be more of a graphic look. So I'm basically drawing a line like right in the middle of my eyelid and kind of separating the two parts, and I'm then kind of tracing out a triangle on the outer part of my eye here. You'll see it in a footage how I'm doing it. It's really hard to explain, but I'm basically just drawing a triangle and then I'm filling it in with that same shade. It was kind of hard to build a shadow up to be as opaque and intense as I wanted it to be, but I think I got there in the end and it didn't look too patchy. I also take it down to my lower lash line with a small pencil brush. This is definitely going to be like the simplest look out of all of the ones I did, but I wanted to do something just a little bit different. I'm not sure how I feel about this look, but I think it turned out okay. I'm also just going to set the rest of my lid using the shade Lin here, because obviously my eyeshadow primer is still tacky and I didn't want that to end up creasing. And then for my inner corner, I'm going to take the shade Don't Know Her. I never really know how I feel about having pink in my inner corner. Sometimes I feel like it makes me look a little bit sick, but other times I'm like, I just want to play around and have some fun and do something a bit different. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about this look. Let me know what you think. I think it turned out okay. I don't really know, but I wanted to leave it in anyway because not every look is going to be perfect. So I did decide to just go with white in my waterline again for this look, just to kind of separate that pink with my waterline a bit. And then I did some liner and mascara off camera, and this is what we are looking at. I also put on a gloss, and the gloss that I used is by ABH, and it's in the shade Pink Tourmaline. And that is going to be it for look number 3. I mean, I told you this was pretty easy. And like I said, not sure how I feel about it. I think it looks kind of cool. I think it looks kind of different. I don't know. Let me know what you think. So for the next look, I wanted to do something that I haven't done yet, and I wanted to go into a 3-colored crease, which is something that I love to do. So the first color I'm using is going to be Mr. Diva, and I really like this shade. I didn't think I would, but it's almost like a cantaloupe orange, and I think this is so unique. And I'm using a small Luxie brush here to just tuck that into the first part of my crease here. And then for the second part of my crease, I'm going to go into the next color here, which is going to be Boss Angeles, which is a very bright orange. I wasn't expecting it to be as orange as it is, but I really like this. I think the tone of this is really beautiful. And I'm placing that in the middle of my crease. I'm obviously connecting it to the first shadow that we put down, but leaving some room in the outer third of my crease and the outer corner of my eye, because I'm going to next go into the brown shade, which was called Hi Dude. And I'm going to, like I said, put that in the outer part of my crease as well as the outer corner of my eye. I'm also going to take this down to my lower lash line and just connect the outer part of my crease to my lower lash line here. And I'm sorry I don't mention a lot of the brushes that I'm using, but I will link a video that I did back in December on my favorite small eyeshadow brushes if you're curious about some of the ones that I'm using, because I don't want this video to be like boring to listen to, you know what I mean? So when I'm done with the brown, I'm going to go back into that orange that I put in the middle of my upper crease, and I'm going to put that in the middle of my lower lash line as well, just to make sure that this look is nice and cohesive on the top and the bottom. And just to finish off, I'm going to take the brown again, and I'm going to use that just to blend everything together a little bit more and make sure that the brown is looking the way that I wanted, both on my lid and on the outer parts of my eye, and everything is blended and nice. And then for my lid, I'm not going to go ahead and cut my crease or anything like that. I'm just going to take Drive Through. I am going to spray it, however, just to make it nice and foiled. And I'm going to put that basically in the middle of my lid, but also connecting it to the outer corner where I have that brown down. But I'm not putting too much of that on the outer part of my eye, just a little bit, enough to blend everything together. And because I wanted this look to be kind of different, I decided I wanted to mix the cool tones with the warm tones. So I decided to go with the silver, which is called Custom Rims, and I'm basically putting that on the rest of the lid here. And I don't really see a lot of people using cool and warm tones together, so I quite like how this turned out. And I didn't want to wrap this down to my lower lash line, but instead I'm taking Designer Label, which is more of a champagne. I'm putting that on the first part of my lower lash line here and just connecting it with that orange. And I went back and forth a lot between what I wanted to do in my waterline, and I decided that maybe going with something that would match my hair a bit, like a magenta, this is Piggy Bank by Colourpop, would be a good idea. I think I like this, and so I'm just putting on some liner and mascara to finish off the look, and this is where we are at. And for lipstick, I'm taking one of the Too Faced lipsticks from the holiday collection last year. This is Pumpkin Pie. It smells so good. Let me know who else is ready for fall. I'm literally so over the summer right now. I just want to wear long sleeves again. So this is going to be the completed look of look number 4, I think we are on. So I really like this look. I think this is one of my favorites out of the bunch. I just like how the color combination is a bit different. If you're enjoying the video so far, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I do a lot of multiple looks videos on my channel, and I would love to have you part of my family. And if you wanted to recreate any of these looks, there are timestamps down in the description box, as well as a number on the screen for the look that you are looking for. Let's move into look number 5 now. So I obviously need some more soda, which I have been drinking this whole time. I just have not been showing it. So for this look, I'm going to start off by taking Mogul, and this time, as you can see, I'm taking this as my first shadow in my crease because I did want this to be more of an intense look. So I'm using my Morphe E36 brush, which I think I should mention that because I do love this brush for kind of detail work and putting the first shadow into my crease. And I'm keeping this shade pretty low down so that I still have room to go in and blend this out with something else. I'm also taking it down to my lower lash line, basically all the way across, but I'm leaving a little bit of room just in the inner part of my lower lash line here. And to blend out this shade, I'm going to use Honest Truth, which is kind of like a light peachy shade, and I really like the tone of this. It didn't really show up too well though, but I did manage to get it to show up eventually. I just needed to pack on a lot of color. So as you can see, I'm basically just using a small fluffy brush to blend out above where I put down that purple. I'm also blending all the way around my eye as well as underneath my eye because I did want everything to be just nice and smooth and, you know, the same all the way around. I'm also just going to go back into that purple and just make sure that everything is to the intensity and the blend is the way that I like it to be. And this is just the way you kind of have to do it sometimes. You have to go back and forth a lot to get the result that you want. And then for my lid, for the first time in this video, I'm going to use Don't Know Her. At least I don't think I've used it yet. I think this is the first time. So I'm going to spray that with some Fix Plus again and just put that in the outer part of my lid. And honestly, looking back at this footage, I'm very surprised at how few cut creases I've done because I feel like some palettes are just more kind of cut crease palettes. Like I felt that way about Blue Blood, but this one I feel like you don't really need to do cut creases because the colors just go so well together. And then for the inner part and the last part of my lid, I'm going to take Dog Mom, which is a peachy, very light shimmer. And I'm basically just putting that where I don't have any shadow yet. And this blended in so nicely to that pink. I'm also taking this down to my lower lash line just a tiny bit and just wrapping it around like I like to do with my shimmers. And there wouldn't be a 10 look video without me incorporating some dots. So I'm going to take Jeffree Star's liquid lipstick in the shade Queen Bee. This is a beautiful yellow and I'm using my nail art tool. I will link the set that I got these from on Amazon down below in the description box if you were wondering about these. And I'm basically just putting dots in the inner corners of my eye here. I've definitely done this before, but I just really like how it turns out. I think it's cool, but it's also just so simple and easy to do. And I also wanted to tie this in with some yellow in my waterline, so I'm taking Punch by Colourpop and just popping that right in there. and then some liner and mascara later. This is where we are at. And for lips, I'm going to use Sugar Pills lipstick in the shade Cubby. This is a beautiful, how would I explain this? It's kind of like a bright watermelon, and I really like how this turned out. Despite this being similar to like what I did with the other pink look, I still think it turned out to be so different because of the dots and the yellow eyeliner and just the lipstick in general. So like that's one of my favorite ways to spice up a look, is just to use different accessories, if you will. For this next look, I wanted this to be a very dark and smoky look because I really like me a good smoky eye. So I'm first going to take Calabasas and I'm going to slowly build this up in my crease. And I wanted to make sure that the blend here was really nice and smooth because I am going to go in with a black all over my lid. But first I'm going to go to my lower lash line and I'm going to take Want Noise, which is kind of satiny orange shade. Now, I would normally just go in with a matte orange, but since I hadn't used this shade and since I wanted to review it, I decided to go with this. But if you wanted to recreate this, I would say just go for like the matte orange instead. And I am blending it out a little bit just to get a bit of a better blend here. And I need to go into the black. I've been waiting to use this black for so long. Honestly, this isn't the first look that I filmed, so I had used this black before and I knew I loved it. So I'm just taking this on a packing brush and I'm basically just packing it all over my lid. And once I've placed it down and got it to be the intensity that I want it to be, I'm taking a fluffy brush. This is a very small detail fluffy brush. And I'm just using this to work on the blend between the two colors. I don't go in with any extra shadow at all. I'm just using what is already on my eye. And when the black is as blended as I am able to get it, I'm going to go back in with the two shades that I used first and just make sure that everything is nice and blended, because working with black, you need to just be patient and take your time with the blend, because otherwise you might go in with too much and it gets a little bit out of hand. So just kind of taking it slow and doing a lot of blending is usually the way to go with blacks. And I decided that I wanted this to be basically an all matte look except for my lower lash line. So I'm taking a bit of my eyeshadow primer and just putting that into my inner corner so that I can kind of prime my inner corners. Because when going in with a matte in the inner corner, I also want to make sure that I have a tacky base. So I'm then going to take the Wake and Bake shade, which is a beautiful green. I love this green. And I'm basically just patting that in the inner corner where I put down that primer. And as you can see, this is laying really nicely on top of the primer that I put down. And I'm also taking it down to my lower lash line just a little bit and just kind of wrapping this around. And then for my waterline, I'm going to take Teaspoon by Colourpop. This is a green eyeliner. I love Colourpop's eyeliner so much. Can you tell? I use them in every single look. And so I'm going to put on some liner and mascara, and that's going to be the finished eye look. And then for lipstick, I'm going to take Ofra's Liquid Lipstick in the shade Baroque, and that's going to be this look complete. So if you do happen to recreate any of my looks, I would absolutely love to see them. So I will leave my Instagram handle on the screen for you. So please go ahead and tag me. It means so much to me. It's so fun to see you guys' recreations, and it just makes my day. So go ahead and follow me on there if you want to. Now for the next look, I am actually going to do a halo eye, which I have not done yet somehow. And the first shade that I'm starting with is going to be Pink Fleet. And I'm packing this into my crease with a bit of a dense blending brush. And I'm keeping the shape of this very round, which I prefer to do when I do my halo eyes. I'm also taking the same shade down to my lower lash line and just smoking everything out so that we have a big pink circle around my eye. And then for the halo part, I'm going to use the gray. And I did struggle a little bit to get this to be as opaque as I wanted it to be, but I think it turned out okay in the end. So I'm using my Morphe E36 brush again, which I think is perfect for this. And I'm placing the shadow in the inner and the outer corner of my lid. And I'm also gently connecting it up top. I don't usually do that, but I just found that the blend looked a little bit better with the shade if I did that. And then for the middle part of my eye, I'm going to use the silver shade again, which is called Custom Rims. And I'm basically being very precise with this. I'm using a lip brush and I'm just placing this right in the middle of my eye, very focused here because that's where I wanted most of the pigment to be. And I'm just gently fading this out on both sides here. And I'm also going to take a little bit more of that gray shade and just make sure that the edges and like both ends are looking as good and blended as I'm able to get them. Again, I wasn't able to get it as opaque as I wanted it to be, but I do think that it turned out okay in the end after a lot of blending and a lot of back and forth here. And for my inner corner to finish off, I'm going to take two, and I thought that using a bit of a pink shade here would be kind of complementary to the other colors that I have in my crease, since I did use a lot of pinks there, and I like how this turned out. It's not my favorite look that I've done in this video, but for being a halo eye that I used a gray, I think it turned out okay. And for my waterline, I'm using another one of my Colourpop eyeliners. This is in the shade Crybaby. I'm I'm then putting on some liner and mascara as always, and for lips this time I'm going to use the Lorac Pro Matte Lip Color in the shade Dusty Plum. I got this in BoxyCharm, I really like it, I keep using it, I keep reaching for it. I think the formula of this is great, and I like the kind of cool tone purple with this eye look. I think especially with the grays and such, yeah, I like how this is looking. I think this turned out okay in the end. You can definitely see it in the close-ups though that I was having a bit of a hard time with that gray, but like, that happens, you know, not every look is going to be perfect, and that's just the way it is. Now let's get into look number 8. We are nearing the end. I hope you guys are having a good time because I am really enjoying myself. So we're going to start off this look by using Nate, which is the green shadow in this palette. I really like this color, but I don't know if I necessarily love this shade. So I'm putting this in my crease as well as my outer corner and down to my lower lash line. And if you want to follow this tutorial to a T, please make sure to drop your brush because the results aren't going to be the same otherwise. And this is just, I've been doing this so much lately, it's almost embarrassing, but it's like kind of funny at the same time. When I'm done putting down this green, I'm going to go into Wake and Bake again, which is probably one of my favorite shades in this palette. Now, the shade isn't as good when you use it, you know, on top of something else to blend it out. It's definitely best as the first shadow, but I still was able to build this up nicely, and I feel like it really just gave a nice accent with this color and just gave it a bit of a better blend here. And to give this look a bit more depth, I'm going to go into High Dude again, and I'm going to pack that on the outer corner of my eye. I'm not going to pull it all the way through my crease. I'm mainly focusing it on the outer third or so of my eye, just right in my outer corner here. And once I place this down, I'm going to take it down to my lower lash line on about the outer third or so, and just go in with a bit of a blending brush to make sure that everything is nice and blended. For my lid shade, I'm going to use Girl, which is a kind of bronzy shade, which is not a shade that I ever really reach for. So I figured this would be a good time to test it out because bronzes go really nicely with greens apparently. And I really like how this look turned out. It's not a color combo that I would have normally reached for, but I really enjoy this. And since I like to have a lighter shade on the inner part of my lid, I'm going to use Dog Mom again, which was this peachy shade. And I thought this peachy shade would blend really nicely into the bronze. And I think I was right about that. I really like the blend between the two. And so I'm basically just putting that where I didn't have any color left. And I'm also wrapping it down to my lower lash line. Like I always do, I just like that look. I feel like it just opens up my eyes a bit more when I have brightness on the bottom as well. And then I'm going to put on liners and mascara all in black. And to finish everything off with lips, I'm going to take my Kokie lip liner in the shade Light Nude and also my So Juicy gloss by Colourpop in the shade All Talk. And I think that this look turned out to be a very wearable, colorful look. I mean, despite there being greens and stuff in the crease, I feel like with the lid shades, it definitely toned it down a bit and made it more just wearable and appropriate for day wear. Let me know what you think. I really like this look personally. So let's get into look number 9 now. We are almost towards the end. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. For this look, I'm going to start off with the gray shade and I'm going to put that into my crease as my transition shade here. And I feel like this shade performed a lot better use on its own as the first shadow down instead of trying to build it on top of something else. So I'm really happy with how this laid down. It did take me a little bit to, you know, just get the blend the way that I wanted in my crease here. But once I was happy with it, I'm going to connect it to the lid. I'm not going to take it down to my lower lash line because I am going to use another shade there. And for that shade, I'm actually going to go into this kind of dirty mustardy yellow green shade. And I'm going to pack this on my lower lash line. I only really used this because I felt like this is not a color combination that I normally would have put together. So I wanted to put it together. And apparently I wasn't super happy with the blend with the gray, so I'm taking a bit of Lin, which is this bone colored matte shade, and I'm just using that to help blend out the gray. This is the only way I really use a shade like this, is to help blend things out. And I need to go into the black again because I absolutely love this black. This is one of the best shades in this palette. Definitely a standout shade. I'm using this black in the outer corner of my eye, and I'm being very careful with this. I'm building it up pretty slowly. I'm also pulling through my crease this time, and I wanted this to be a very intense kind of smoky gray black eye. And then for my lid, I'm going to do something a bit unexpected, and I'm going to take that bronze shade because I felt like the bronze would look really good with the shade that I had on my lower lash line. And I think I like this color combination. Again, it's not really something that I would have done, but I don't know. I kind of think it works. I think it's different. I like the contrast between the warm and the cool tones. I'm also taking a bit of that bronze shade down to my lower lash line, just using a small pencil brush here, and I'm pulling that about halfway across. And then for the very inner corner, I'm going to use the green shimmer. So this is a very light green shimmer. It doesn't really show up that green, but I feel like it was a bit of an unexpected pop. After I'm done with that, I'm going to take my eyeliner in the shade Mars. This is from Urban Decay, and I really only went with green because my earrings were green. I know that's not a very good excuse, but I thought it would kind of match, and I like it. So I'm going to put on some liner mascara off camera, and I decided to go with a green lipstick, and this is Crocodile Tears by Jeffree Star. I don't use colors like this very often, but I think it looked really cool with this look. I think it kind of tied it all together. So here are the close-ups. I'm very happy with this look. It's a very unusual color combination, but I still think it works. Let me know if you think so too. And just for shits and giggles, if you made it this far in the video, leave me a poop emoji down in the comments. I swear, the poop emoji is like my favorite. I absolutely love it. I think some people think it's kind of weird and gross, but I like poop emojis. Now let's get into the last and final look, which was the look that I was wearing in the intro. I absolutely love this look. I think it came out so fun. So as you can see, I'm basically doing a pink eye and a green eye, and I'm flipping everything. So on the left side, I'm going to go in with the green shade, and I'm going to build that into my crease. I'm only going to use this one shade in my crease, so I'm going to keep the shape pretty round. And I'm also making sure to not bring it too far down in the outer corner of my eye, because I am going to go in with the pink on my lower lash line, so I don't want those two to necessarily mesh together. And then on my left eye, your right side, when you're watching this, I'm going to go into Self-Made, which is the pink shade, and I'm basically doing the same thing that I did with the green on the other eye here. And then for my lower lash line, I'm basically going to flip everything. So on the eye where I have the pink in the crease, I'm going to go in with the green on the lower lash line. And then on the other eye where I have the green in the crease, I'm going to go in with the pink on the lower lash line. So it's kind of like back and forth. It's a bit trippy. I really like doing this. I've done a look like this in the past before, and I really like how it turned out. Now next up comes the tricky part. I'm going to take my liquid liner here, and since I have hooded eyes, this is hard for me. I'm going to basically do a big wing here, as you can see, and so I'm tracing up from where my lower lash line is, and then I am tracing the eyeliner back over towards the middle of my eye, like over where the hood of my eye is, and then I'm just filling in like the tip of the wing here. This technique definitely takes a bit of practice to get both sides to look even and such. It's taken me a long time to really be able to get these to look the same. But once I'm happy with how it is looking, I'm going to take my P. Louise base, and I'm going to do a cut crease here. Is this my first and only cut crease in this video? I'm not sure if I did another one. I feel like maybe I did. Either way. As you can see, how I do this is I basically draw a line on top of my lash line, and I look up, and then I trace where the transfer is. And then I just fill in everything with my P. Louise base up until the point where my wing begins. I'm then going to take the black shade, and I'm going to pretty much just put that on top of where the wing is, but I'm also going to start working the wing inwards towards my eye, and I'm doing this in a bit of a diagonal here because I find that to be a very flattering placement for eyeshadows. And it's also a lot easier to use a matte shadow on top of the wing here to kind of blend everything out, whereas if you were to just use your liquid liner, it's going to get a little bit hard to place it down on your eye the way you want it to be. And then back to the rest of the lid here, I'm going to basically flip everything again. So on the side where I have green in my crease, I'm going to use the pink shimmer. And then on the side where I have pink in my crease, I'm going to use the green shimmer. So I'm first going to take the pink shade here on the left side, which is called Don't Know Her. And I'm placing that in the middle of my lid, also kind of keeping with that diagonal theme here. As you can see, I'm just patting this over the black shadow here to really mix these two together. And I'm being pretty careful. I do want this line in my cut crease to be nice and defined. So I'm taking it pretty slow here until I get it the way that I want it to be. And then when I'm done with the pink side, I'm going over to the right side and I'm using drive through and doing the exact same thing as I did with the pink on the other side. And then for the rest of my lid here, I wasn't sure if I wanted to use two different shades or not, but I decided I wanted to keep it the same on both sides. So I'm going to use the silver here. Again, this one is called Custom Rims, and I really like this silver shade. I feel like silver just goes with everything. Like, to me, silver is a neutral. So I feel like this turned out really, really fun. And honestly, I think this is the favorite look that I did in this video. So I'm again going to be super extra and use two different eyeliners. These are both going to be from Colourpop, and this is Insomniac, and then the green one that I'm using is Teaspoon, which I also used in a previous look. I love these. I can't get enough of them. And then liner and mascara later, I'm going to put on a lipstick. This is from Colored Rain, and this is in the shade Pink Panther. It's just a very, very bright pink. And I think I deserve a pat on the back for that because I have now finished all of the 10 looks, and that was so much fun. I love making these videos. I'm so glad that you guys like them as much as I do. And I just want to say I really appreciate every single one of you that watch these videos. It really does mean so much to me. So those were all of the looks. I hope you enjoyed them. Now, obviously, I didn't tell you anything about how I really felt about this palette, or how I feel about this palette, I should say. So I'm going to have a full review up on this. It's probably going to be my next video, whenever that is. It's probably going to come up tomorrow or the day after or something like that. But yeah, let me know what you think of the looks. I'm pretty happy with most of them. There was a few that I wasn't quite sure about when I was doing them, and I obviously explained that while I was doing them in the tutorial part. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with all of the looks that I came up with. I really think this look is fun, but you know, it's not your everyday look, if you know what I mean. And I also didn't do a lot of neutral looks in this video because that is just simply not my style. And so it would kind of be weird for me to do a bunch of neutral tutorials when it's not what I do on my channel. And I also want you guys to, if you're new to my channel, I want you to see what I do. Like, I don't want to all of a sudden start doing looks that isn't me, because I don't want you to end up subscribing to something that I'm not, you know? So I wanted to just stay true to myself. And yes, I know I kind of stayed away from all of the neutrals. I'm sorry. I tried to use some of them just to get an idea of the formula, but overall this is not going to be a very, you know, neutral focused channel anyway. So yeah, I hope you enjoy them. I hope you got some inspiration. Let me know which look was your favorite. If you can remember, you probably cannot, but either way, I'm just happy you're here. I'm happy you watched the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see some other content that I have on my channel, I'll pop some up on the screen so you can go check those out. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.